Good morning, one and all. My name is Mark Buell. I have the pleasure of being the vice chair of the board of the Presidio Trust, and on behalf of our chair, Lynn Benioff, our current board, and our past board, I welcome you today to a long journey and a celebration of a vision, a dream that actually came true. And so you will hear from other people who have been on that journey about how we got to where we are, but is this not the most spectacular setting in the world? You know, I was thinking as I was coming here today that this is part and parcel to a bigger dream, and there are people here who were participating in that many years ago. So the result of that dream was a renaissance in building really wonderful open space for the people of the Bay Area and the people around the world. Crissy Field began, then the parade ground, then the tunnel tops, which we hope to open in July, and Battery Bluffs. And in San Francisco itself, we have Francisco Park that's going to be opened in 2 weeks. And we're working on an enormous park in the Bayview at the India Basin shoreline. These are really terrific projects, and they represent this spirit in San Francisco about open space and people enjoying it. And if you really think about it, 75% of the people in the city are renters, and this is their backyard. And we have a responsibility to all of them to give them the best backyard we can. Now, as some of you have heard me say over the 25 years that I've been barking about parks, victory has many parents and defeat is an orphan. And today, we are going to celebrate the many parents who made this possible. And they're a combination of government entities, and just as important, they're a combination of philanthropy from very generous people who care very much about, I would say, because parks really benefit everybody, philanthropy embraces it as a way to really make a difference in people's lives. So you're going to hear more about that later too. But on behalf of past trust board members and the current ones, we welcome you and appreciate you being here. And my job is to simply welcome some special guests, and you'll hear from them speaking in a minute. And if I find it, we'll be in business. The wind is not cooperating. All right, let us start with a woman who will arrive in about 10 minutes and normally runs about 15 minutes late, but that's because she's busy doing her job, and that would be Mayor Lincoln Blvd. We have Michael Alexander, chair of the Spur Doyle Drive Task Force and leader of the effort to have Michael Painter's plan adopted by Caltrans, and he came all the way from Vancouver to join us today. Thank you very much. Alicia John-Baptiste, president and CEO of Spur and longtime champion of the parks. Welcome and thank you for being here. Supervisor Raphael Mandelman, chair of the San Francisco County Transportation Authority and one of the civic partners who made this happen. David Ambule, he is the Chief Deputy District Director for Caltrans, which built the Presidio Parkway. Thank you, David. I'd also like to welcome Supervisor Catherine Stephanie, who's here. I believe Supervisor Connie Chan was supposed to be here. Let's go on from there. Catherine Toy from the California Natural Resource Agency. Phil Ginsberg, the general manager of the San Francisco Recreation and Park Department. Yeah, shout out for Phil. And representatives from the offices of Senator Alex Padilla. I know Dan Burnell's here for Nancy Pelosi. Dan, thank you for being here today. And we have a representative from State Senator Scott Wiener's office. A special welcome, and this is a special welcome, to Susan Painter, spouse of the late Michael Painter, who inspired us all to think creatively about what the redesigned Doyle Drive would be. And Susan is here with her children, Melissa and Josh. Thank you for being here. I mean, that's at the heart of this, really. And I also recognize current Trust Board member Nicola Miner. Thank you for being here today. And former Trust Board members Janet Riley, Paula Collins, and the last one I'm going to mention, I said if they gave me 15 more minutes, I could address this just to her. Amy Meyer is here. Please give a hand to Amy Meyer. Literally, we would not be looking out at open space had it not been for this woman and her arm twisting of then Congressman Philip Burton to draw the map and then put that little clause in there that said if the Army ever leaves, it goes to the national park. Thank you, Amy. To our wonderful partnership for the Presidio, our colleagues Laura Joss, Superintendent of the Golden Gate National Recreation Area, who is retiring in a few days from 32 years of service. Laura, thank you, thank you. I'm going to miss that talent around here. And of course, Chris Leonard's the CEO of the Golden Gate National Park Conservancy. Let me parenthetically say that over the 25 years of their existence, they've raised over $500 million for the Golden Gate National Parks. That's the gold standard in the country. No one comes close second. Thank you for what you do. And CEO Emeritus Greg Moore, who had a lot to do with that $500 million. He twists arms almost as well as Amy does. And do we have your board chair, Stacy Slaughter? Is she here? Not here. Okay. So now, more importantly, I want to recognize two families here. I know Mark and Maury Jane Perry are here. Thank you very much. And I believe Amy and Gordon Ritter, are they here? This is the philanthropy arm of how you get things done in parks. And I know Mark and Maury Jane have helped not only here, but in other parks, and that little one across the street from where they live at Alta Plaza. So for all you do, thank you very much. With that, it's now my pleasure to allow the people who did the heavy lifting to say a few words, and we're going to start with Michael Boland. Michael?
Thank you, sir. All right, hey, happy Earth Day, everyone. What more spectacular way to celebrate on Earth Day than opening a new park over a freeway? How often does that happen? And as Mark said, it's not bad. It's not bad. No, it's gorgeous. And we're so excited and so grateful for everyone. So my job today is just to tell a little bit of a story. And that story starts in 1989. 1989 is a really important year. I'm not going to do it year by year, by the way. This will be quick. But 1989 was a really important year in the history of the Presidio. It was the year that in January, the Army decided they didn't need this land anymore. And thanks to Phil Burton and the arm twisting that Mark mentioned by Amy Meyer, this land was going to automatically transfer to the National Park Service and become part of this incredible system of 410 national parks all across our country. So that's a really important moment. And the Park Service very quickly began this process to work with thousands of members of the public to create a vision for this place as a national park. And that started a very public conversation about, well, what could this place be? And what does it mean for it to be a national park? Then a little later in that year, come October, was the World Series. I remember it well. There was this little shake called the Loma Prieta earthquake. And that started a different conversation because we all realized that all of these elevated highways in San Francisco and around the Bay were really vulnerable. And this one, which carried over 100,000 people a day, was especially vulnerable. And then Caltrans began another very public conversation about the future of this highway. And these two intertwined but parallel conversations began. And the result is a world-class vision for a parkway rather than a freeway that, as Mark mentioned, has allowed us to do some of the things that we aspired to do at the Presidio, to reconnect the waterfront with the historic heart of the Presidio, to transform the whole center, to take an area that actually a reporter this morning said to me, you know, I always thought Crissy Field wasn't part of the Presidio. There was the Presidio and there was Crissy Field. And I wonder if that's because Doyle Drive used to be such a wall, and I've always thought that. So it was great to get independent confirmation of this from a local. But I really believe that Doyle Drive cut the park in two, both really and conceptually. And now what the Presidio Parkway has done is allow us to pull the Presidio. We have one Presidio now, one cohesive visitor experience, one new gateway to not only the Presidio, but the broader Golden Gate National Recreation Area and to national parks all over the country. Because of course, that's the reason this park was created, to be that gateway, to be that national park for all. So what an incredible vision it was that Michael Painter had, that so many people pushed forward. So many of you in this audience took that kernel of a notion and transformed it into reality. So thank you all for being part of that journey. You know, my mentor, one of my mentors, my many mentors, Greg Moore, has said to me many times that a dream without resources is a hallucination, which I love. I use that with my staff all the time. Because I'm a landscape architect, and believe me, we are notorious for having hallucinations about places. But what's so inspiring to me is that this project was a big, bold vision. And you all came together to find the resources to make it a reality. So thank you for that. Today is a celebration of all of you. Today is a celebration of everyone that's not here that came together to make this vision a reality. And really the purpose of today is to both honor you and to give the key players that played an important role in bringing this vision to life an opportunity to tell their stories. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for everything you've done to make the Presidio Parkway a reality. So it's now my great honor to introduce a very good friend, one of the many Michaels involved in this project, Michael Alexander. Michael.
Thank you, Michael. We started with two conversations that Mark referred to and how they were brought together. When the earthquake occurred, it was clear that Doyle Drive, which was already many decades old and was not in the best structural shape, was going to have to be replaced. The San Francisco Board of Supervisors, thank you supervisors, formed the Doyle Drive Committee and assigned it the task of bringing together the various elements of San Francisco and reporting back on what we wanted. This included Caltrans, a lot of neighbors, the Sierra Club, Spur, all sorts of people. I was elected vice chair, and we got to work, and it was tough. Caltrans came in with 26 different designs and said, choose one. We didn't like any of them. And the problem really was that we knew what we didn't like, but we had no idea of what we did like, what we really wanted. And this went on for months. We were meeting at the Golden Gate Bridge District offices. Months and months and months, getting nowhere. And we always asked at the end of each meeting, was there anybody from the public who wanted to comment or ask questions? Nobody ever did. Until one day, this one guy stood up and said, I'd like to speak. And Michael Painter unrolled a hand-colored and hand-drawn drawing of the Presidio from the perspective that he had seen it, which was believe it or not, on top of the dome of the Palace of Fine Arts. And that's where he got his vision. And he brought it to us, a road that nestled into the cliff along the main post and was hidden with two tunnel segments. And in that minute, 10 minutes, we knew what we wanted, and that was it. It was that clear and that simple. It was not easy from there on. We had a lot of debates. Caltrans decided that it was that what Michael wanted to do was infeasible. So, and their engineering group that was hired echoed that. I went to Spur, said we've got a problem here, and fortunately Jim Chappell had a brainstorm idea. He said, let's get Arup, a great engineering firm that had a San Francisco office, involved, and let them decide whether Michael's design is feasible or not. And they came back, and Ignacio Banderay is here, and some of the other guys from Arup. They came back and said, not only is it feasible, but it fits much better into the park, and it will cost less than any of Caltrans' designs. And there was the magic moment. I'll leave it at that because others will describe what went on from there, but it was wonderful. I just want to say one other thing here. I've got a photograph. I was a magazine photographer. I've got a photograph of this little chunk of concrete, maybe 10 feet long and 3 feet high, covered in graffiti, which was the only picture I ever took of the batteries, because that's was all to be seen. And I came here today having seen none of what is exposed now, and I said to Boland, where the heck did this come from? He said, we uncovered it. It's fabulous, and it absolutely blew me away. And it really tells the history of World War II at the Golden Gate. So thank you very much.
All right, Michael, thank you so much. And thank you for being, I've always thought of you as the invisible hand behind the Presidio Parkway project. Always there by Michael's side, sort of making this thing happen. So thank you so much for being here and for coming down from Vancouver. It's so great to see you. All right, well, it is now my honor and my pleasure to introduce this community's fearless leader, our mayor, the Honorable Lincoln Blvd. Mayor.
Yes, I am wearing heels in a park. First of all, I am just in awe of this view and the magic of what I feel today. When I think about the conception of projects that take place in San Francisco, and then seeing the results of the work, the hard work of so many people who have a vision for what something like this could be, it's really amazing. But it's not surprising, because as San Franciscans, we are always thinking outside the box. We're always thinking about new, innovative ways to make the city even more beautiful than it is. And what an amazing testament to Michael Painter's legacy. And I want to thank Susan so much for being here today. His work here and vision, along with the Doyle Drive Task Force and people who care about the Presidio and wanted it to be this place of refuge, this place where we know these views have existed since the Golden Gate Bridge was built. It's amazing, and it's going to be something that we all can cherish. When I traveled all over Europe to talk about San Francisco and what's new, I talked about Battery Bluff, I talked about the tunnel tops, I talked about the fireworks during 4th of July and Fleet Week and all these great activities and things that occur with these amazing views and the feeling of comfort and excitement, from the Golden Gate Bridge to the views of Coit Tower to the beautiful water and all that that entails. We know this city is special. And we know that when we make spaces like this, waterfront spaces like this, available and open to all people, it has a tremendous impact on our mental health, on our happiness, because we saw during the pandemic just how important parks and open space really was, because they were so crowded and so heavily used. And as we began to reopen, and our economic recovery, of course, is important, but also what's equally important is how we continue to beautify and support and uplift our parks, our open space, our residents, and all of that, all of what that entails. I've been really fortunate to go to a number of these park renovations, park open space, downtown in the middle of all the high rises, the Salesforce Park, the new space we opened at 5M near where the Chronicle building is. And what I also appreciate more about these projects is the support from the private sector, the public-private partnership that exists, where San Franciscans and people who care about these assets say, we are going to contribute the resources to making this happen. And then you have people like our fearless leader, Nancy Pelosi, fighting in Congress to bring in those resources and to make it a priority. And thank you, Dan Bernal, for being here to represent our speaker. And then you have people who, like Jim Chappell, who from Spur and others, who are looking at innovative ways to make our city an urban city more functional for all of us, and the National Park Service and the Presidio Trust and our Rec and Park Department. I know Phil Ginsburg is here working along with our various transportation entities to create this space so that it's not just a place where freeway passes, a place where cars drive, but it's a place where people walk and picnic and bike and throw the balls around and hang out and just enjoy life. So I am really grateful to be here today to celebrate this incredible milestone in our city's history. And I look forward to coming here and enjoying this space, but I really look forward especially to what happens when we open the tunnel top, because together these two spaces provide open public park space of over 50 acres for San Franciscans and other visitors to enjoy. Thank you all so much for being here today.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you for making sure that San Francisco continues to be the most beautiful, most innovative, most livable city in America. It is a miracle, this place. I think of it every day. Every day I fly home from traveling, and I look at the Golden Gate in San Francisco from the air. So thank you for that. It is now my pleasure to introduce Alicia Jean-Baptiste, the CEO and president of Spur, key player in this important project. Alicia, welcome.
Thank you, Michael, and hi, everybody. Looking at where we are today, I've been having a hard time remembering the old Doyle Drive. Anybody else having that experience? And it's also a little bit hard to believe that there was a moment in time when this vision seemed like it might not be possible. But it's true that there was no guarantee at the beginning of this effort that we were going to have a rebuilt Doyle Drive that was anything other than an 8-lane highway. And the process started, Michael Alexander spoke to this a little bit, but the process started with a task force, which is very San Francisco. And it was a very classically San Francisco task force tons of stakeholders, very few shared points of view. And everybody was very certain that their opinion was the right opinion. And of course, they were all valid. And we needed to be able to come together towards something that the whole community could rally around. And it really was when Michael Painter came into the room and said, here is a vision for a parkway, that people had something that they could start to generate common cause around. And even with that galvanizing vision, it was still an effort. It took extraordinary perseverance, and frankly, it took courage on behalf of all of the people involved to make that vision a reality. Because we know that to get to something transformative, we start with a vision, but we have to work through all the messy reality to get to the end of the road. And speaking of proverbs, I heard one recently, a Japanese proverb, that said, vision without action is a daydream. Action without vision is a nightmare. And we've all experienced that as well in our time, I'm sure, being engaged in San Francisco. So I'm very proud of the work that my predecessors at Spur did in this, because Spur's role in this effort was really to keep that diverse set of stakeholders together, to keep that group focused on the vision, but really also to support the professionals in their work so that what they were delivering for the community was the best for the community. And I do want to note that we're in this moment now where we have another opportunity to really make enormous investments in infrastructure. And thank you to Speaker Pelosi for her leadership on that. And I hope that we will look at this and take this experience that we're having today and think of the place where we are now as an example of infrastructure done right, of infrastructure done in partnership, and of infrastructure done in a manner that puts a bold vision at the center. And so for us at Spur, we are going to continue to tell the story of the Presidio Parkway because we think it's so important for people to recognize what we can do when we come together around bold vision with courage and with perseverance. And before I sign off here, I want to just acknowledge a couple of people who just were really instrumental, both in Spur's work and in realizing this place where we are today. And so, of course, Michael Painter, in whose memory we are here. Also to Amy Meyer and Ed Wayburn, who brought us the Golden Gate National Recreation Area to begin with, to Jim Chappell and Michael Alexander, and really the whole Spur team involved over many, many years bringing about this outcome. And also to the San Francisco County Transportation Authority, to Jose Luis Moscovich, to Tilly Chang for your efforts, and to Caltrans, to Bijan Sartipi, to Skip Soko, and to Arup. Michael Alexander mentioned Arup's work to prove the validity of the Painter Plan, as it was known, was really instrumental in getting us where we are. But most of all, to the many thousands of people, regular residents of San Francisco, who said, we want something more, and gave their time, their energy, their commitment to making this dream a reality. I'm grateful to all of you, and thank you so much.
Thank you. As we've heard a couple times now, this is a project that really only happened because of a very unique partnership. And I think one of the hallmarks of this project was this interesting partnership between local, state, and federal agencies working with the private sector and the community to secure the resources and deliver this project. One of the key players in that is the San Francisco County Transportation Authority. And so it's my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Supervisor Raphael Mandelman, the chair of SFCTA. Welcome.
What a beautiful day. I'm the supervisor for District 8, and all supervisors think their districts are the most beautiful and the best in the city, but Supervisor Stephanie, you folks in the northern part of the city do all right. It's such a pleasure to be here to represent the Transportation Authority and decades of work at the Transportation Authority for which I am not responsible. But I'm happy to bask in the glow on behalf of those decades of Transportation Authority staff and board commissioners. I, of course, want to congratulate again the Presidio Trust and Gene Frazier and Michael Boland for all of their extraordinary work for this city and for the Presidio. I want to echo, this has been said before, but you know, Dan Bernal, can you please thank your boss on behalf of all of us? She had the vision to recognize and know that as the Army pulled out, this had to be a park, and came up with a way to do that even in some very hostile conditions with some tough Republicans, making it very hard along the way. And her, you know, predecessor and mentor, Phil Burton and Amy Meyer, thank you so much for all you did to create this whole regional park that we benefit from throughout the Bay Area. I had the opportunity to come out here a few weeks ago and see this work in progress, almost done, and was so stunned by the views. And I just want to thank all the people who did so much work, the landscape architects and plant and you know, all of the people who delivered this here. I'm here. I think my special role is to talk about how this is a little bit of a transportation project too, a big transportation project. It's a park, it's a gorgeous park, but you know, there was a roadway running through here not too long ago. It used to divide these 6 acres of natural beauty that today are reconnected to give us yet another public space to enjoy San Francisco's iconic shoreline. The Presidio Parkway project was carefully designed not only to improve safety for motorists, but also to improve access to the Presidio and the Golden Gate National Recreation Area. The Transportation Authority, as a co-sponsor of the project, allocated local transportation sales tax funds for the planning, design, and construction that were ultimately matched by major investments from the state and federal governments, regional agencies, and the private sector. Overall, the Transportation Authority's investment leveraged more than $2 of outside funding for every local dollar that went into this project. And I want to thank the San Francisco voters who approved the Prop K sales tax back in 2003 for their support of safe, reliable transportation for all users and accessible public open spaces like this one. The voters are going to have, we think, another opportunity to vote on the extension of that Prop K sales tax this fall, and projects like this, I hope, will make it easy to convince those voters that it's a good investment. I want to thank the people who actually do the hard work. Our executive director, Tilly Chang, for everything you are doing for us in transportation in San Francisco. But really, the prior executive director, Jose Luis Moscovich, who's here, wave Jose Luis, and your mom is here, Balbina, wave Balbina. You did such a good job. You gave us Jose Luis. Jose Luis led the Presidio Parkway through the early stages of planning and approvals, and Tilly has called him the master strategist for making the Presidio Parkway a reality. Sometimes those transportation planners do amazing, amazing things, and you have Jose Luis, so thank you. And of course, thank you to Michael Painter, whose visionary design enabled Battery Bluffs, and thanks to his family for being here. I want to thank our partners and project co-sponsors on the Presidio Parkway project, Caltrans current and former directors Dina El Tawansi and Bijan Sartipi, whose partnership was instrumental throughout the project. And thank you, of course, to the many workers, designers, and contributors who helped build and fund this project. Battery Bluff is the work of many hands and demonstrates that bold leadership, excellence in design, and public-private collaboration can result in public infrastructure that not only serves the needs of our residents, visitors, and the economy, but also creates something beautiful that reflects and respects its surroundings and will serve and inspire our region for generations to come. Thank you, everybody, and enjoy.
All right, thank you, Supervisor. Next, it is my pleasure to welcome to the podium a representative of the other key partner in this highway project, David Ambule, Chief Deputy District Director for Caltrans. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much, Michael. First, I'd like to congratulate Gene Frazier and the Presidio Trust for hosting today at this beautiful park that not only celebrates the biodiversity of the Bay Area, but also honors the history of this San Francisco landmark. Since being founded by the Spanish back in the late 1700s, the Presidio has undergone several major transformations. Caltrans' $1.1 billion redesign of Doyle Drive has played an integral part in the latest transformation. Truly a design for the 21st century. For Battery Bluff and the areas surrounding Doyle Drive, Caltrans has invested $50 million in landscape improvements. And by looking around, I'm sure you can all see it's money well spent. And I'm certain that future visitors will agree. People often forget that Doyle Drive was built in 1937 and was meant to be nothing more than a utilitarian roadway from the Golden Gate Bridge. It was designed to not interfere with the military activities of the Presidio while keeping the public out of the base. Thankfully, we've moved on from that original design, and with the forward-thinking vision of the late Michael Painter, the partnering agencies worked in collaboration to develop an open space that celebrates the beauty of this area while making it accessible for everyone. It truly is striking. The engineering teams at Caltrans, along with San Francisco County Transportation Authority, certainly had their challenges. Rebuilding the retaining wall for the San Francisco National Cemetery provided the opportunity for our engineering team to create a design that honors our veterans while celebrating the beauty of this area. In addition, their dedication to this project helped provide many of the views everyone will be enjoying today. And I would like to take a moment to thank some of the individuals at Caltrans who helped make this project a reality. We have Linka Kulikaro, our Deputy for Design here, Ziad Abubaker, Chief of our design team, Nadal Takan, Project Management. I see Jonathan Ng, Construction Manager for the project. And your commitment to honoring the past and the future of the Presidio is commendable, and I'd like to thank you for all of those efforts. And I'm certain many future generations of visitors will appreciate your work. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention the names like Skip Sokow, longtime project manager, worked on this project, and our former district director, Bijan Sartipi, who's here today to help celebrate the opening of the park. And for us, with Bijan's leadership and foresight, it really made this a reality, and it really made us work to be better and do better things. I would also like to thank the people of San Francisco for supporting this wonderful project. And without your support and understanding for the inconveniences that construction inevitably brings, we wouldn't have a project like this today. And finally, I'd like to encourage everyone to take a moment before they leave today to remember the past and think about your future when you come to visit Battery Bluffs. So thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, it's my pleasure now to introduce our final speaker, my mentor, friend, and boss, the fearless leader of the Presidio Trust, Gene Frazier.
Well, I am rarely known for being speechless, but I really am. And yeah, like really, is this not for short people? Jesus.
Take it off.
Take it off.
Pull it out. There you go.
Okay, there we go. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming out here today. When I got up this morning, there were huge thunder clouds, and I thought, oh no, it's going to rain. And then I thought, well, what better way to celebrate Earth Day than with a little rain in San Francisco? But it's turned out beautiful. This project, like everything we do in the Presidio, was a collaboration. And you've heard of the many people who participated in this. What I'd like to do in closing is to thank those who have not yet been mentioned. I've been in public service all of my life, and by that I mean I've been in government service, and I'm incredibly proud of that. I believe that government, in the hands of the right people and with the right ideas, is the greatest force for good that humankind has ever created. And as we look around the world and see the problems that government not in the right hands and not with the right ideas can create, I think we should take a moment to celebrate all of the people who have not yet been mentioned. All of the people who toil, sometimes for relatively low pay and always in obscurity, to make projects like this happen. So I'd like to have every single person who has served at any time, whether you have been elected, appointed, or you are a staff member in any level of local government, the City and County of San Francisco, the Rec and Park Department, the San Francisco Municipal Transit Authority, the San Francisco County Transportation Authority, and all of our friends at the local level, please rise and be recognized for all of your work. Stand up, come on, stand up. Thank you. I'm one of them. Thank you. These are the folks who make sure that our streets are clean, that our parks are beautiful, that our hospitals run. Thank you so much for keeping us moving, keeping us healthy, and keeping our parks beautiful. We have also colleagues at the regional and state level who toil really in obscurity often because they're a little further away from the people that they serve. I really want to give a huge shout out to Caltrans. This was not an easy project, and I personally was not so easy to deal with on this project, I acknowledge. So all of our colleagues, if you have ever served at the state level as an elected, as an appointed, or as a staff member, whether you're in the Metropolitan Transportation Commission or you're with Caltrans, the Golden Gate Bridge District, they're kind of regional, please stand up and be recognized for all of your work on this project and on everything else you do to keep this state running. And finally, to all of my colleagues in federal service. We here at the Presidio Trust are so very honored to be a small, but we think mighty, part of the Golden Gate National Recreation Area, which is one of just over 400 units of the unbelievably magnificent national park system. And so I'd like to honor everyone on the federal level, whether you are with the Federal Highway Administration who helped with this project, whether you are with the National Park Service, the United States Park Police, which provides security and law enforcement here in the Presidio. If you have ever been elected, appointed, or a staff member of the federal government, including all of my colleagues at the Presidio Trust, please stand and be recognized for all of your work. So here together, in a huge collaboration, is an example of government doing something really wonderful for ourselves, for our colleagues, for our friends, for our neighbors, for our children, for our grandparents, and for the entire world. Thank you so much for everything that you have done to make this project a reality, and thank you for everything you do to keep government in the United States something we can all be proud of.
Thank you, Jean. All right, now I'd like to invite the speakers, Susan Painter, Supervisor Stephanie, and Chris and Laura, to join me up here at the Garland to formally open the Battery Bluff.
Okay. Let me get everybody over here. Everybody here? We're going to all count down.